One of the things, let me throw out an idea to you. One of the ways I think that we could help the calendar, help the overall process of how rosters are constructed for coaches and for players alike, would be to start the playoffs earlier, and like they do in the NFL, not have this extended break where we're trying to construct rosters and then get back into football. I've just always felt like we should avoid the NFL playoffs and finish the season and go ahead and play the playoffs. What would you think about moving the college football playoff up to a point where there wasn't an extended break during December?
Well, I think you have to deal with, finals is a little bit of an issue there. And then I also think, you have the holidays and there's a lot at play there. I think it depends on how many games we want to play. Mm-hmm. And I think it's how soon do we want to start the season? You got the week 0, how many games ultimately do we want to play and how early are we willing to start? But, I think all those things need to be considered. But, I don't think anybody would argue with, playing your last regular season game, playing the, Big Ten championship game, and then continuing on. Maybe having a bye week if you're, lucky enough to be one of the top teams, but then continually moving on because, that's again what they do in the NFL. They keep things moving. Now they have that 2-week window before the Super Bowl, mm-hmm. but you kind of get that rhythm going. That is a long break in there, and it's something that we spent a lot of time preparing for our game this year, making sure that we stay in shape and make sure we're ready to go because you take 3 or 4 weeks and it can wear down your team. So I think the coaches would be in favor of it, but I know there are some challenges that come with that.
The aspect of college football right now that I feel like doesn't get a lot of conversation is the actual rules themselves. We talk about all this other stuff.
Sure.
And yet there's a few things that probably need to be looked at and tweaked on the field.
Yeah.
They're talking about some clock rules right now. I'm in favor of that. I don't think we should be stopping the game clock after first downs, in the first quarter. Now, I know volume is probably beneficial to you because you're a really good team, and the more snaps that you're going to get, you're probably going to end up having a better result. But if you could fix one on-field issue, what would it be?
The hash marks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
You would move them tighter?
Yeah. I'd go back again to the NFL model. I think those hash marks were built for, football a long time ago. I think like the NBA's made their adjustments. The college has made their adjustments. They've moved to 3-point line. They've made adjustments. We haven't. And I think now today, with the type of athletes that we have, they're faster, they're bigger, they're more powerful. Putting the ball in a hash mark is just putting everybody in a smaller area of the field, and we're not playing, outside the numbers to the field. I think putting the ball in the middle of the field, more like in the NFL, opens up the entire game. Mm.
I thought for sure we were about to get into targeting there.
Yeah, well, that's a little too soon.
Right.
Too soon on that one.
Understandable. I will ask you about that rule, the targeting rule. It's obviously achieved what I think the intent was, which was change the way that defenders defend in the strike zone. Everyone talked about that early.
Sure.
Now it's morphed, though.
Right.
It's morphed into a problem because it's tough to officiate. People don't really understand why calls are made, why they're overturned, why they're upheld,
yep.
all of those different things. So, from a coach's standpoint, how frustrating is that call? And I know this is probably too soon. Yeah. Not that specific call. I'm just saying the rule in general. And how would you go about trying to alleviate it?
I think the first thing is it has to be common sense. I think that's to your point. We're getting so much into the weeds on this that we've lost where we started on it. And what was the reason why we did this? To protect young men. Mm-hmm. And so, if someone's launching at somebody's head and they're unconscious on the ground, that's not what we want here. And so I think sometimes, we get into these slow motion things and we start to get so, caught up in the little details of everything. And it's not realistic sometimes watching it in slow motion. So I think there has to be some sort of a common sense. I think we have to still trust the referees on the field and what they see. They're there for a reason. And then if it's egregious, one way or the other, then that's where the instant replay comes into play. But I think right now what we've done is we've just put so much into the instant replay that what you see in a slow frame isn't really what's going on in the field. And we have to go back to the common sense and why the rule was even put into place.
Yeah, and I mean, replay has seeped into a lot of different areas and impacted games that I think a lot of us would like them not to impact.
Right.